The following is a paid advertisement. The views expressed are the sole responsibility of the advertiser.
Put the power back in your hands. This is Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark.
Happy weekend to you and welcome to Behind the Law. Joining me as always, my beautiful co-host Makaila Nichols. Hello, Makaila. How are you?
Great.
Here's a question I get all the time. I have insurance for my car. I have insurance for my home. I was in an auto accident where my home was damaged, but I don't want to file a claim because my insurance rates are going to go up. Is that true? It's a good question though, right?
I mean, I don't know.
Especially now, considering all the hurricane damage that we have right now. The question of the day is, you had a car accident or your home was damaged in Hurricane Ian. Should you file a claim? Will your rates go up? Gregory Krak is going to be here for the first time. He's an excellent first-party insurance attorney. And our good buddy Michael Mills will be here as well to address that. It's going to be a great show today. We're going to learn a lot.
Like it.
The question for you is, are you ready?
Of course.
Now, don't forget, we are live here right now, 321-282-1055 with any questions that you may have. Very quick break. Behind the Law continues.
Managing your investment property is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Sign up at GoRent123.com. 2. Let Greater Orlando Realty handle everything for you when it comes to managing your property. From qualifying tenants to collecting rent, processing maintenance requests, and everything in between. 3. Sit back, relax, and count all that money you're making. Earning passive income on your property is as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Greater Orlando Realty. Visit GoRent123.com today.
Welcome back to the show, and here's a question that all of us have had over the years. You've had this question. You've had an automobile accident, and you're like, do I file a claim with my insurance company or not? Are my rates going to go up? And it's a little bit disturbing, and no offense to insurance companies out there, but what they do is they take your money as premiums, they try to build buildings, invest the money, and then pay out as little as they can. Now, I know I'm going to anger some insurance companies by saying that, but that is kind of the business model simplified. Michael Mills is here. Michael, you deal with insurance companies all the time.
All the time.
Fantastic injury attorney in town, but that is a question you get a lot. I think a lot of times people will have an accident even and not want to do anything about it because they're afraid to make a claim, because they're afraid of what that will do to their rates. What do you tell those people?
Well, I get that all the time. And a lot of times I have to explain the law, especially here in Florida. We are a PIP state. That's personal injury protection. We're a no-fault state. And what that means is basically no matter whose fault the accident is, your insurance is primary for any medical care that you may need as a result. So if you have State Farm, Nationwide, or whatever the case is, you get into an accident, if it's your fault, if it's the other person's fault, you're injured, you should go and make sure you get taken care of. Go get checked out. Worry about who's going to pay for it afterwards. But a lot of times folks they'll refrain from actually going and getting checked out or going and seeking medical care because they, like you said, they don't want their rates to go up. And it's not that's not the only thing that the insurance companies look at when determining whether or not they're going to increase the rates. They look at credit scores, unfortunately. They look at where you live and whether or not other people in your area are filing a bunch of claims. There's a few things that goes into whether or not your premium goes up. So not seeking treatment should not be the reason, or your fear of your premium going up should not be the reason that you don't seek medical care.
Are some insurance companies better than others when it comes to dealing with me, their customer? Because I'm their customer at the end of the day.
Yeah. There are some companies, I'm not going to put them out there.
Go ahead. Okay, don't do it.
Yeah. Tell us later.
Yeah, right. Tell us after the show.
But there are certain companies, I can say those, can I call them low budget insurance companies? Yes. The ones that you don't pay a whole lot for, you get what you pay for. All right. So they oftentimes will not offer that coverage, or they'll try to deny you coverage. And so you should also think about that when you're applying for insurance coverage. Another reason that folks will often not proceed with a claim is when they get into an accident, it's the other person's fault, and that person doesn't have any coverage, or they don't have enough bodily injury coverage. They have uninsured motorist coverage, sure, which is what's required if that person, the person that hits you, doesn't have any coverage or doesn't have enough coverage. But they don't want to use their uninsured motorist coverage because, for the same reason, they don't want their insurance rate to go up. And I say to them, well, if you have it and you're paying for it on a monthly basis and you need it now, why wouldn't you use it? I mean, that's why you have it. That's why you've been paying for it. You've been paying for it so that when the accident, when the situation arises that you actually need that coverage, you have it to use. Yeah. And sometimes it gets through to them, sometimes it doesn't, but you know, as long as I give them that information and they can make the best choice for them, that's all I can do.
And let's be honest, these are not easy questions for you to answer at home, and we understand that. That's why we do this show. You can call Michael right now. He will answer your questions offline at 321-282-1055. I would recommend, if you had an accident at all, even if you're not feeling hurt, call Mike. Why wouldn't you call Mike? He's right here to answer your questions. Again, the phone number is on the screen, 321-282-1055. Now, Mike, we've talked about UM here before. So yeah, UM is underinsured or uninsured motorists. Correct. Meaning that's your own company. You've hired that company. You're their customer. Right. And it seems to me, though, and it's a little bit disturbing, correct me if I'm wrong, that sometimes your own UM, who you've been paying premiums to for years and years, when it's time for them to step in for someone who hit you without bodily injury coverage, can be a little cheaper than even like a bodily injury company can. Absolutely. Why is that?
For the same reason. They, unfortunately, folks will get mesmerized by all the marketing that insurance companies do. You're in good hands with Allstate. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You said you weren't going to name companies.
Right? Yeah, I'm so sorry. But I mean, they you know, that marketing works. Yep. And unfortunately, what folks don't realize is that an insurance company is a business, and they're in it to make money, to make profits. So the more money they can keep in their pockets from the premiums that you pay each month, the better it is for them. What you have to realize is that when you're paying that money each month and that situation arises, I mean, that's your protection. That's what you're paying for. So you need to use it. You should utilize it. It's your duty to use the money and the benefits that you've been paying for when you need it.
You're probably going to punch me for asking this question, but let's say I have an auto accident and it's not my fault, but my PIP kicks in, of course, and then maybe I have to use my UM. Can they raise my rates if it's not my fault?
They can, okay, but not specifically because you use your insurance.
It's the other stuff.
Right. It's other things that goes into it, especially if the accident isn't your fault. Right. You know, it can just go up for other reasons, and I don't want folks to say, you know, I got in an accident last year and I used my PIP and now my insurance rate went up. It can be so many other things that went into their decision as to whether or not your insurance went up, and it's just so happens to be that you were in an accident and used your coverage to take care of yourself.
I hear this story all the time where someone's driving down the street, they get rear-ended, not a lot of damage, just some bumper damage is all I see. My back doesn't really hurt. The guy behind me maybe had a couple cocktails, maybe he doesn't have insurance, I don't know. Maybe he's had other accidents. Like, hey, and it looks like about $600 worth of damage. I'll give you $1,000 right here. Let's just walk away. Let's not call anyone. Do you recommend doing that?
Don't do it. No? Okay. Absolutely not. I've had so many situations or heard of so many situations, especially with that minimum damage to your vehicle issue. Low impact collisions is what it's called, and the insurance companies will even use that, and folks get really messed up from those. Yeah. And the problem is they don't really feel the injury right away. So in the moment when it just happened, you have some adrenaline going, you look at your car, it doesn't look that bad, and you say, I could use an extra $1,000, and you go with that, you take that money, and a week or two later, you wake up and your neck is sore or your lower back is sore. And now you don't have that information of the at-fault party, and there's nothing that you can do, because if you now try to file a claim, he's going to say, well, I gave you an exchange or whatever the case may be. So you've kind of shot yourself in the foot by doing that, not knowing the extent of whatever damage it is that you suffered on a bodily injury aspect.
Or sometimes they could even say, "What, wasn't me? I don't know what this guy's talking about," and then it just never happened, and you have no proof whatsoever.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's,
and it's something that we talked about. Call the police, and I know it can be so inconvenient to sit there and wait for the cops to show up, especially if you're not super injured. Even the cops will sometimes tell you, just take each other's information, exchange info. Before you do that, take pictures. Take pictures before you move the cars if possible, but document the accident scene, document the information of the at-fault party. Getting their insurance information is super important. Just getting a picture of their license plate isn't always enough, because if you don't have the police there on scene, us as attorneys can't really use a license plate to track down the insurance information of that person that hit you.
So let's say I'm going to try to work it out with a guy 2-3 weeks down the road. Finally, we can't work it out. Now I'm hurting, and I make a claim with my insurance company 3-4 weeks down the road. How does the insurance company view that delay in filing the claim?
They look at it as very suspicious. You know, they're going to look at it suspiciously. So, which is one of the reasons we say to document. Document by going and getting checked out as soon as possible after the accident, because that at least puts a date stamp on when this happened, and it's not just you saying it happened on a such day. They can look at the either hospital records or the chiro records of when you went to the doctor's office, and see especially or specifically when the accident happened and relate it back to that accident.
Michael Mills, wonderful job as always, sir. See you very soon.
Thank you.
Do yourself a favor. Look, if you've been injured in an accident or just had an accident and you have these questions, call Mike right now, 321-282-1055. When we return, your house was injured during the hurricane. What do? Do you file a claim? It's just ahead as Behind the Law continues. Does credit card debt have you spinning out of control? You are not helpless. At Attorneys Justin Clark and Associates, our goal is to lower or even eliminate your credit card debt. Call me today or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. Is student loan debt holding you back? I'm Attorney Justin Clark. You may have the power to lower or even eliminate the payments that have you living paycheck to paycheck. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your life. Welcome back to the show. A lot of us have had our house injured, as we said before.
Got a boo-boo.
Our house got a boo-boo during Hurricane Ian. What do? There's all of this drama going on with the insurance industry in Florida right now. And a lot of you have the question, okay, do I file a claim or do I not? Are they going to raise my rates? Are they going to cancel my policy? Many of you are scared to file that claim right now. Greg Krak is a great friend of ours, handles first-party insurance claims throughout town, has for many years. I met you playing softball, I think, back when we were young bucks, maybe 15 years ago. Good to have you on the show, Greg. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And first of all, I do apologize about teasing your segment by saying if your house has been injured, but I do think if you want to borrow it for marketing purposes, I'm okay with that.
I'm thinking about it already.
What do? A lot of people, it seems like in Central Florida, some have had wind damage, but I've seen a lot of flood damage as well. What are the differences when my home has been damaged by a flood or water versus wind?
Okay. Well, it's how you define flood damage. Some people will say any type of water on the floor is considered a flood, and that's not accurate. So whether or not to make a claim with your homeowner's insurance company, you need to consider, is it covered? Most people don't know. But as from Hurricane Ian, most of the damage in Central Florida has been due to flood. Even though we did have some high winds in the Central Florida area, Most of the damage from what I've heard has been from flood, and that's not covered by your typical homeowner's insurance policy.
Okay.
You have to buy separate flood insurance to cover the flood damage. And a way to think about it is if the water's coming in from the ground level and entering into your home or your business, that's typically going to be flood. But if it's coming through windows, it's coming from your roof, that's typically going to be covered from your normal homeowner's insurance policy.
You know, it makes me nervous that there are a lot of people throughout Central Florida who will get taken advantage of during times of storms because they don't really know what to do. Let's be honest, you're nervous, your house has been flooded or you have wind damage, you don't know who to call first. You get these roofing companies from Alaska who roll into town banging on your door. It's a very scary time and a time where a lot of people do get taken advantage of here in Central Florida. What should I do? I'm a homeowner. I do have some water damage. I don't know if it came from the ground. I don't know if it came from a window. Who do I call first?
I'd say the first person is to get a contractor out that's been in this area for a while. Like you said, not someone that's coming in that's a storm chaser, that's not from Orlando. Do your research. Make sure they've been around for a while. Make sure they're licensed. That's very important. Make sure they're licensed. Bring them in there to assess the damage to see if they can figure out what caused it and how this occurred. And then second is I would either call my firm or call an attorney that specializes in these claims. Our consultations are free like most are, and we can walk through your policy with you, review that policy, and let you know, is this likely to be covered or not? Should I make the claim and should I go forward with that?
Do I want to call the insurance company and have them come out before I get a lawyer involved, or do I get you involved first?
A great question. You certainly don't want to delay too much. And with Hurricane Ian, it's a little bit different. If you have what you think is flood damage, but you don't have a flood policy, I would be hesitant to call your homeowner's insurance company right away. Now, there's a slight caveat to that, in that if you're looking for FEMA assistance, which I know a lot of people are who don't have flood insurance, from what I hear from FEMA, I'm not an expert in FEMA law whatsoever, but from what I hear is they're requiring you to make that claim first with your homeowner's policy. And if it gets denied, then they have you go through the FEMA process.
Should I trust the insurance adjuster that the insurance company sends out? Because they're kind of cool dudes sometimes. They act like they're your buddy. We want to help. We're here to help. We're State Farm. We're this, that. We're here to help you. Do I trust them? Do I talk to them? Or really should I have legal representation going into that?
I think you should have legal representation for sure. Hear what they have to say, cooperate with them. That's important. If they ask you for pictures, if they ask you for receipts, if you have personal property that was damaged, cooperate with their investigation.
Right.
And then see how that goes. If you don't think you're being treated fairly or your claim gets denied, give us a call. We'll review everything for free and let you know if we think it should have been covered and if they made the right decision.
Here's what you should do. You have leaks in your ceiling, you see water damage, anything that's been damaged on your home. I do not want you to necessarily trust the insurance company. Even if they've denied your claim, there might be something there. They have a lot of claims going on right now, as you can imagine. Give Greg a call right now. I promise you it is a free call. He will answer your call right now. All you have to do is call the phone number on the screen, 321-282-1055. Greg, public adjusters, we hear a lot from them pretty much throughout the year, but certainly after a storm comes. I don't want to get you in trouble here, but what are your feelings on public adjusters?
Just like with any profession, there are good ones out there and not so good ones. They do a lot of good out there, though. They do help people with their insurance claims. They can't take it the next step if they have to and go the legal route, but I try and resolve all my claims prior to going that route as well. We don't like to file lawsuits, try and get things resolved as quickly as possible for the property owner. So public adjusters do serve the public in a good way. Again, just like with any profession, some take advantage, but most of them out there are good.
What is a public adjuster?
Wow, that was literally exactly what I was about to say.
I know, I was looking at you. I could tell you were thinking.
Said it.
Well, now it's.
So what's
please,
a public
Makaila
adjuster?
Nicholson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
A public insurance adjuster does really the same thing that I do, but of course they're not attorneys. They can't take it through the legal system. So public insurance adjusters are just what it sounds like. They represent the public. They represent the property owner, as opposed to a regular insurance adjuster that people think of. Those are the ones that work for insurance companies and only represent their interests. So public insurance adjusters, again, not representing the insurance companies at all, only represent the property owners.
Right. I'm not trying to give too much away about you or your firm. I know you care about your clients. I'm not just saying that because we're on TV. There's a school of thought with some attorneys who do what you do, that every time a case comes in, they just want to file suit, and a year and a half later, we'll deal with it. You like to resolve things, because if you resolve them, you have a better chance of resolving it quickly rather than having a hole in your roof for the next 2 years while we go through litigation. And I'm not bashing any other firm by any means, but there is a school of thought. It's just, let's just put it in suit now. You would like to, at least early on, kind of quickly see if we can resolve it and mitigate the damage that's going on. Tell me about your theory in trying to resolve things versus, I just want to put it in suit and we'll deal with it 2 years from now.
Exactly. Well, people have the idea of attorneys' high legal fees, and I don't blame them, because that is out there. A lot of firms do that. There is a law now in Florida which says you have to give the insurance company basically a warning shot before you file a lawsuit, but I do my best. I'll reach out sometimes 2, 3, 4 times to the insurance adjuster and say, look, let's try and resolve this. Let's see if we can have a meeting of the minds and get things resolved, because that's only going to make my clients happier. You know, my clients don't care about how much I recover in attorney's fees. In fact, they don't want to see it go into litigation.
Sure.
Clients don't want to see that. They want to get that wrapped up as quickly as possible and repair their home. Some of these people are living even outside their home, you know, in hotels, or don't have availability of their kitchen or their bedroom, wherever that damage may be. And so they want to be put back in the place they were before that damage occurred as quickly as possible.
And we literally have tarps on our roof sometimes that are going to be there until this case is resolved, because I don't have 25 grand sitting around to fix the roof and then hopefully the insurance company will pay me later. I mean, we're talking about a serious business on our most prized investment, the biggest investment that we have, our home, and it's literally deteriorating as we fight it out in the legal system. That's why I like how you handle it. You're like, look, let's try to resolve it if we can quickly. If we can't, of course, you know your way around the courtroom. But if you can resolve it quickly, sometimes even if you resolve it for a little bit less money now, the legal fees are going to be less, the damage to the home is going to be less, and I really like your strategy with dealing with it that way.
Correct. And you mentioned too, your home's deteriorating, you know, the longer it plays out. And so nobody wants that. That's just going to be, you know, more harmful to the property owner and to the insurance company as well.
Of course.
You don't want to fight that battle later on, have your legal fees get jacked up real high. Just resolve it as quickly as you can, and everyone's happier, and the market's better for that as well.
Of course. When a hurricane rolls through like this, how is your job different now with the influx of claims, so to speak? How do insurance companies operate differently post-hurricane than they do during regular times?
Well, like for instance, it really depends on where in the state it hits. You know, most of the damage was in Southwest Florida. Sure. So many of the insurance adjusters are down there right now. A lot of the contractors are down there. So the adjusters are a little spread thin, especially in our area, Central Florida, even though we had quite a bit of damage. A lot of the adjusters are down in the Fort Myers area. So it makes it more difficult to deal with them. Things get delayed more. You want to be your own best advocate. If you're out there, if you're not going to call us, document everything. Take pictures, take videos, and document all the damage you have, so when that adjuster finally does arrive, you're ready, you're prepared. Absolutely
right. What is the time frame typically when you talk to clients and they say, hey, we called the day after the storm? How long does it normally take the insurance company to get out to inspect the house?
Well, typically they're out in a week's time, without a hurricane involved.
Oh.
When we have the hurricane involved, it can be weeks.
Weeks.
So that's why documentation is important. I've heard both. I've heard some adjusters are coming out within a few days. I've heard from some of my clients where they're not even out there as we speak now. So the documentation is key, and keep this in mind, the property owners have a duty under the policy to mitigate their damage.
Sure.
So it's hard, but you try and prevent that damage from getting worse with whatever means you have. So do your best to keep it from getting worse.
Greg Krak, a pleasure as always, buddy. Hopefully we'll have you back on soon, because a lot of people have questions about this right now, obviously post-storm.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Thank you, Justin.
Keep up the good work. If you have any damage whatsoever on your home has been injured in Hurricane Ian, call Greg right now, 321-282-1055. Even if you don't see a lot of damage right now, sometimes there's mold growing beneath the walls. You need to do something now. It's a free consultation. We'll be right back up to wrap up Behind the Law with What Did We Learn? Our good buddy Greg Mann is here, property manager, the best in the business, I assure you. Greg, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It scares me a little bit because there are some people still out there who own real estate, who rent it out, and they want to do it themselves. I never advise that whatsoever because, and you've seen it, Greg, people who rent houses out to someone else and decide they want to do self-help evictions, they can get in trouble legally for that.
Yeah, well, first of all, they're not professionals, so they don't know what they're doing. And as you would know better than most people, if you don't know what you're doing and you're not a professional, don't do it. So avoid it. If you self-manage and you need to do an eviction, go to an attorney.
Even that aside, though, anyone who owns real estate that they're renting out really should have a property manager such as yourself. What are all the things that you do to make life easier for me, the landlord?
From start to finish, we rent the house out, we collect the rent, we send it to you, we maintain the house. Everything's just one package. It's simple.
It is. And vendors, you know so many vendors. You make life easier for me, the landlord, because you have those connections already.
We do, but we actually really screen our vendors really well. You know, so every vendor that works with us, licensed and insured, and we turn vendors down left, right, and center. But you know, we're always looking for good vendors too.
And wouldn't you say? Some people say, I'm going to rent it myself because I don't want to pay Greg. I don't want to pay a property manager. But wouldn't you say you actually save the landlord money over time because of your relationship with these vendors?
Absolutely, we save money. Not only do we save money with the vendors, we save time, which you can never get back.
And 2 a.m. phone calls, I'm not getting those.
No, you won't. I get those.
Literally, as the property owner, I just buy the property and turn everything over to you and collect checks. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, it's like winning the lottery every single day.
If you own real, thank you, Greg, as always. We always appreciate your insight. If you own real estate that you're renting out and you're handling it yourself, it's not a good idea. You can get yourself into trouble and it's going to cost you money. Call Greg Mann today. More Behind the Law is just ahead.
Managing your investment property is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Sign up at GoRent123.com. 2. Let Greater Orlando Realty handle everything for you when it comes to managing your property. From qualifying tenants to collecting rent, processing maintenance requests, and everything in between. 3. Sit back, relax, and count all that money you're making. Earning passive income on your property is as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Greater Orlando Realty. Visit GoRent123.com today.
Welcome back to the show, and as always, we wrap it up with what did we learn? I love doing the show together, by the way. Great attorneys on here, and it sort of humanizes them. I know you hated lawyers before you met me, right? Am I not allowed to say that?
I mean, you just did. So.
We have like the coolest lawyers in the world who come on this show, but Makaila, what did you learn?
I learned if you're ever in an automobile accident.
You made fun of me. See, that's what
I know, it's karma. Karma got me. Just file
Makaila.
A claim, right? I wouldn't know to do that sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I might want to avoid it, but better not.
I learned as well, file a claim, whether it's an automobile accident or your what did I say, house is injured?
Your house has an ouchie.
Your house has an ouchie, definitely file a claim. And even if you get denied with insurance coverage, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the end of the story. There can still be some things that you can do. Makaila, wonderful job as always today.
Thanks.
You did great.
You did okay.
I mean, you made fun of me. Everyone in the audience made fun of me, and I'm okay with that. Thank you as always for joining us. A wonderful weekend to you. We'll see you again next week for more Behind the Law.
Managing your investment property is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Sign up at GoRent123.com. 2. Let Greater Orlando Realty handle everything for you when it comes to managing your property. From qualifying tenants to collecting rent, processing maintenance requests, and everything in between. 3. Sit back, relax, and count all that money you're making. Earning passive income on your property is as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Greater Orlando Realty. Visit GoRent123.com today.
I'm attorney Justin Clark. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your life.
The proceeding was a paid advertisement. The views expressed were the sole responsibility of the advertiser.